This is Ken Smith, reminding you it happened today, May 13th, but the year was 1787. Arthur Phillip set sail with 11 ships full of criminals. They're headed to Botany Bay, Australia, to begin a new colony. It was on May 13th, 1830, that the Republic of Ecuador is founded in South America. It was on this day, May 13th, 1934, the Great Dust Bowl storm sweeps across the United States prairies in the midst of the Great Depression. It was on this day, May 13th, 1940, Winston Churchill: "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat." It was his first speech as Prime Minister to the British government in the House of Commons. It was on this day, May 13th, 1942, that the first helicopter made a cross-country flight. It was on this day, May 13th, 1952, that Nehru becomes the Premier of India. It was on this day, 1968, 1 million French demonstrate against Charles de Gaulle. It was on this day, May 13th, 1979, that the Shah of Iran and his family are sentenced to death in Tehran. It was on this day, May 13th, 1982, Braniff Airlines files for bankruptcy. It was just a year ago, May 13th, 2019, that actress Felicity Huffman pleads guilty for her part in the U.S. college admissions scandal. But that was May 13th in the past. This is May 13th, 2020. A House resolution from Illinois Democrat Bobby Rush that would put government in charge of tracking citizens' movements as they relate to the virus mitigation efforts, even sending health bureaucrats to individuals' homes as necessary. This is what the legislation states. The legislation is aptly numbered 6666. A blackout of Broadway theaters will remain that way until at least September 6th. The Labor Department reports this week that prices to consumers for groceries jumped 2.6% in April alone, being the largest one-month pop since 1974. In socialist Venezuela, everyone is now a millionaire because of inflation, and no one can afford to buy a dozen eggs. When Six Flags amusement parks reopen, it will be in accordance with preliminary guidelines from local and state authorities. Occupancy will be limited to 25% of peak attendance. Online reservations will also be mandatory. The company said employees would try to make sure that disinfecting rides, wiping handrails, they'll do their best to make it happen. Richard Branson already has pledged a Caribbean island at least $250 million to shore up his travel empire. Now he's selling a chunk of his stake in Virgin Galactic, his most valuable asset, to raise an additional $500 million. Over the past half century, Branson built Virgin Group into a sprawling collection of businesses with annual revenues exceeding $20 billion. He's made a career for himself as the ultimate disruptor, but now he faces a disruptive world. Virgin stock may drop as much as 50%. Simon Property Group, the nation's biggest mall owner, says it plans to have 50% of its properties reopened by this weekend. In the meantime, Rio, Brazil, as Latin America's largest nation, grapples with the consequences of this virus, the economic challenges, and the president, Bolsonaro, flounders under the pressure. The specter of armed forces taking over the government is very real. Questioned before the U.S. Senate, Dr. Fauci was asked about the 5,000 college campuses across the country, the 20 million college students, the 100,000 public schools that plan to welcome 50 million students. Are we ready to go back to school this fall? Fauci's reply, I would say in this case, the idea of having treatments available or a vaccine to facilitate the re-entry of students into the fall term would be something that would be a bridge too far. He then qualified his answer and said it really is an issue of how the student will feel safe back in school. If this were a situation where we had a vaccine, that would really be the end of the issue in a positive way. But even at the top speed we're going, we don't see a vaccine playing in the ability of individuals to get back to school this term. What they really want to know is if they are safe. And that question can only be answered with testing. No wonder Jesus said, tomorrow is going to have its own problems. No one is able to accurately, 100% predict tomorrow. And so we have this day. This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is Ken Smith reminding you, it happened today, May 13th, 2020.